Hey guys, how is everybody doing? With the release of Smile 2 in theaters today, I believe, when this video comes up, I've decided to take a look back at a modern horror classic with the original Smile. I know I'm a bit late to this video, and I have yet to post my Terrifier ranking as of recording this video. I've been sick the past few days. I unfortunately caught a cold on Sunday. I have no idea how I caught it. Well, it is kind of flu season now because it's fall, unfortunately. I have a feeling that what might be it. So I originally wanted this have this out yesterday, but a little sick still. I feel much better. I feel much better to make a video. I physically feel better. I'm still kind of coughing up mucus a little bit. My nose might sound a bit stuffy, but it's not. If anything, it's just runny. So yeah, I feel much better. Still recovering a little bit. Feel much better to make videos, and hopefully, if not tomorrow, Saturday, you will get my ranking of the Terrifier series. I might be late to it, but whatever. But not talking about Terrifier because today we're going to be talking about Smile, which is a movie that I kind of have a little bit of history with because I remember back when this movie came out like 2 years ago. Oh my god, 2022 was 2 years ago. God, we were blessed with horror movies 2 years ago. We took that shit for granted, I feel. But yeah, I remember when this movie was coming out, I had heard about it. I saw the trailer fucking everywhere at that point, which made me not want to watch it because I saw the trailer so many times that I remembered it more than the back of my own fucking hand because I remember every single detail of that trailer, and unfortunately, which I'll get to in this video, I'll talk about why it was kind of ruined for me. But yeah, that was kind of the main reason I never watched it. I intended on watching it back when it came out on Blu-ray, and I bought it, but I never watched it. It just sat in my pile of movies over there for 2 years collecting dust, and I kind of forgot I owned it. And then I kind of searched through the pile and I was like, oh yeah, I bought this movie. I think it was in one of my DVD Blu-ray collection videos that I did back last year. But anyways, enough stalling, enough talking, enough intro. Let's talk about Smile. Starting up with the positives on Smile, although it is very generic, it is a very generic thing in this movie, but I really like the concept of this movie. Yeah, again, it's very generic. It kind of feels like it took like It Follows and Truth or Dare and kind of blend them together. I will be completely honest. I have not watched Truth or Dare. I've heard it was terrible, so I never watched it, but I do know what it is about. But yeah, so it kind of feels like it takes It Follows and Truth or Dare and kind of blends them together. One is because the way it kind of replicates It Follows is that it has like this entity follow you. It kind of just creeps you out. It doesn't really try to harm you or whatever. It just kind of just stalks you and just fucks with you a lot. That's what the It Follows way. And obviously the Truth or Dare way is that it just smiles a lot, obviously, but I really like the concept of it. I think it is very creepy and I think it's very unsettling. It has a bit of a hint of Babadook in there, which not a lot, but it has some of it in there. But I think the concept of this movie is just very interesting, and the director of this movie, who I forget his name, he said the way he wanted to make this movie is that he wanted to make the movie feel like an ongoing nightmare that never stops. And I feel he did a very good job with that, with this concept and with this type of story going on, to where this is just like an entity no one else can see, only you can see it after someone else who had it somehow passed it on to you. I have no idea how it works. And it's just an entity that kind of just smiles at you, makes you feel uncomfortable, says sick and terrible things to you pretty much, and just makes you just say it just says things to you that you don't really want to hear. Terrible things, really. It makes it kind of it just does awful things to where you just want it to stop. It never tries to harm you in any way. It doesn't really try to kill you. It just more just fucks with you. Like the part to where the one guy in the hospital, he's just sitting there smiling and then he just repeatedly says, "You're going to die, you're going to die." He doesn't try to hurt her. He just messes with her and he just makes her feel uncomfortable and just scares her. Like, I really like that about the movie, and I really think that is very clever in a way to where it just doesn't try to hurt you. It just drives you insane so much to where people around you think you're insane. You yourself think you're insane, so you just kind of just want to end it in a way. Unfortunately, in terrible ways, you want to end it. But I really like the concept. It's creepy. It's very weird in a way. I kind of liked it for that. It is very generic, but I do like how they do this new type of twist on it, although it's just very familiar. One prop I will give to this movie, which I was not expecting when watching it last night, was there is actually a lot of creepy moments in this movie. Now, it's not like best creepy moments ever, not like the scariest things I've ever seen, but there are legit kind of creepy moments in the movie. Like there's moments to where there's like one of my favorite moments of this movie is when Rose, I believe the main actress's name is, not main actress, but the main character's name is, she's kind of, this is like after her patient unfortunately kills herself. She kind of goes home. She's like opening a bottle of champagne for what it looks like. She's just standing in the kitchen, which is like pure dark. But when she's kind of looking around, she sees a figure standing in her kitchen, and it's smiling, and it looks like her patient that killed herself. And there's no music. You as an audience could like, it's like a blinking you miss a moment and where you see it. It's legitimately creepy, and it kind of has you on the edge of your seat. Like when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, that's kind of creepy." And the other moment is when Rose walks by her patient's door, and he's just sitting in there smiling. And it's kind of blurred in the background, kind of faded in the background. You don't really see it, but you as an audience go, "That guy is doing something weird." And it goes back and he's just sitting there smiling and just he's not doing anything. He's just sitting there smiling. Like that's a creepy moment. And when the her psychiatrist comes to visit her, excuse me, but it's not really her psychiatrist, and it's actually one of the entities, the smile entities or whatever. And her actual psychiatrist calls her, and it's her on the phone asking if she's okay. But then she sees that her psychiatrist is right in front of her. Then she knows something's wrong, and then it just starts to smile. Like though, there are legitimately creepy moments in this movie. And again, not the best things in the world. There are a few moments here and there to where it's like an average jump scare, or it is very much ruined by its trailer, which I still remember by like the back of my own hand, which it is kind of there are moments to where the scares are ruined because of the trailer, but there are also moments where they're actually creepy and kind of have you on the edge of your seat. And there are moments to where they're very generic at times, but the actual creepy moments that do have you on the edge of your seat, don't try to do this lame PG-13 like jump scare. I kind of liked it. I also think this movie did a very good job of having like this psychological terror going on to where you as an audience are kind of questioning Rose and kind of questioning these people, seeing these entities, seeing these people that are just kind of standing there and smile. This movie does a very good job of kind of making you kind of guess at that. It does very good psychological terror with you to where it's making you see things. It's kind of like things are happening to where you don't know if it's real or not. Like one of the scenes to where I didn't know if it was real or not was with at the kid's birthday party, and when he opened the birthday gift and it was like the dead cat in it, and the dead cat in it. Like, I honestly thought it was a dream, but it was real. Like, there are moments here and there to where you don't know if anything is going on is real. You don't know what you're seeing is real. Like, at the moment where she thinks she kills the smile entity, the thing with, like, the bloody ass face and, like, multiple jaws for a reason. Like, there's a moment at the end where she thinks she kills it, sets it on fire, then goes home and sees the one guy from, the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, the guy who was supposed to play the Johnny Depp role in that movie. Like, was that Johnny Depp? No. Yeah, Johnny Depp role. And she goes to him and he goes and he's like says something and then he ends up smiling and then she finds herself back at the cabin where she supposedly killed the smile entity and goes back in and she thinks that the guy who's I think his name is Quinn in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. I'm gonna call him that. But when she sees Quinn, she thinks that it's that smile guy and goes back into the cabin and then she sees that thing that she thought she killed is still alive. Like, there are moments here and there to where it kind of keeps you guessing if what you're seeing is real, what you are seeing is fake. Like, are like the car scene where the girl's head kind of like swings down, starts smiling, like, and then it cuts away and she's not, and there's nothing there. And she's actually, and that's what she's seeing. And you as an audience kind of think that she's kind of going crazy, but that's just what she sees. Like, I felt this movie just did a very good job of having that psychological terror going on in this film. My last positive is that I do think the performance are very good in this film. I think the performances by pretty much everybody is pretty good, especially the main doctor guy who's a comedian. I forget his name, but he was honestly pretty good. I kind of thought he would be like a comic relief or something, but he plays a pretty serious role, and I thought he was pretty good in it. And the person that plays Rose, who is pretty much in every single scene and every single shot in this movie, she's very good. I think she gives like an almost Oscar worthy performance. But if I had my own like thing going, it was just like awards for horror movies, like Mia Goth would have gotten it for Pearl in 2022, obviously for me. But I do think she gives a pretty good Oscar-worthy performance. I thought her performance was very good, and she really sold that if she was seeing was real, and just everyone around her trying to like just act like just like you need help or whatever, and like trying to make her try to convince her that she's actually crazy and not seeing these things or whatever. Like I felt the performances in this movie were just very well done, and especially in this type of subgenre of horror, there are always very good performances for some reason, which the Academy doesn't like to give awards out for. Moving on to my mixed aspects, and if there wasn't a second Smile movie coming out, or if this was just like a one and done movie, the one mixed element that I do have is the ending. I kinda hate it in a way. If I were to watch this movie back when it first came out, I would have told you I hated it. But watching this movie now and seeing where it might go with Smile 2, I haven't seen the trailer for Smile 2, so who fucking knows where this is gonna go. But the ending of this movie is not very good for me because the way this movie ends, Rose becomes possessed by the smile entity thing or whatever, and then at the very end she pours gasoline on her and lights a cigarette lighter or whatever, and then you see fire in like Quinn's eyes, and then the movie cuts to black and the movie's over. I think that is not a very good ending because it's very open-ended and it keeps you guessing. It's like, well, what happened then? What happened to him? Like, what happened after that? Like, I guarantee you, if I watched this movie back when it first came out, I would have told you I hated it. But as of right now, I don't think it's terrible now, knowing that I know there's a sequel coming out and possibly a third movie, knowing how well Smile 2 is going to do at the box office and critically. So, I don't know. Who knows what Smile 2 will have to do with this ending, or maybe Smile 2 will just be it's like an anthology thing going on, which I would approve of. But yeah, that ending. Ugh. Now moving on to my negatives, and my negatives are kind of just one big problem, but in their like separate own ways. But kind of like my big negative with the movie, and it's just technically one thing, but it's kind of split into two things. But this movie introduces things, but then they just do nothing with it. One of the first thing is what's the guy's name? His name is Joe. I've been calling him Quinn, but the character's name is Joe. So Joe is the guy that plays Quinn in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. You get Joe and Rose, who were apparently former partners. They were former boyfriend and girlfriend, as we learn like after the suicide scene in this movie in the doctor's office. We learn that those two were together. We learn those two were partners, and you think that might go somewhere in some generic way, but they introduce it and it just goes nowhere. They don't really talk about it. I feel they only introduce that just to show that Rose has a connection with Joe or whatever. But they introduce it like maybe 20-ish minutes in the movie, and they just don't do absolutely nothing with it, which I felt was kind of a bummer because I thought might do something with it. They might get back together because her fiance, A-Train, pretty much just fucking exits the movie after like an hour and a half into the film, or like maybe like an hour into the movie. Like he just fucking disappears. But like, yeah, I thought they were gonna do something with it, but they just did nothing. Another thing that they just really introduced and they barely do anything with it, and I also just felt like it just didn't need to be there, was that Rose's mom's death. Now, in the very opening of the scene of this movie, we see a girl in bed with a bunch of pills and alcohol on the ground, looking like she kind of pretty much drank herself to death or overdosed on pills. Looked like she committed suicide. And they do this thing to where we find out that it's main character's mother, who is Rose, and they kind of have this thing going on to where people think she's crazy because their mother suffered the same thing. They think that's just like something that she carried on from her mother after her death, and after years, for some reason, they think she just turned crazy after like 30 years after her death. Like, they introduce it, and it does play a role in this movie, but I just felt it didn't need to be there. You could take it out of the movie, it would not harm the film whatsoever, which I get what they're trying to do with the character of Rose and what they're trying to make her look like to all the other characters, but it just didn't need to be there. They could take it out and it would do nothing to the film. It would have no impact on the film whatsoever. And if you took it out, you would barely notice it. All in all, guys, I think Smile is actually a pleasant surprise, especially for a movie that I kind of wanted to watch back when it first came out, but I basically lost interest. But after watching it after 2 years later, I found it pretty surprising. I had a damn good time with it. I'm actually more excited to watch the sequel now after seeing it for the first time. And so yeah, it's definitely not going to be for everyone. It's very generic. But I will say this: if you are a fan of movies like It Follows or The Ring or The Babadook or for some reason, Truth or Dare, like, I would definitely recommend this movie. It might be for you, but might not be for you. So, if you're a fan of those type of movies, I would definitely recommend this movie to you. What do you guys think about Smile? Have you seen it? What do you think about it? Do you like this movie? Do you not like this movie? Are you excited for the second movie? Have you seen it already? Do you prefer it over the first one? Let me know in the comments below and we shall talk about it. If you like this video, like it. If you like to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you will get notified for all my latest videos. And of course, until my next video, see you all next time.